A shocking interview has sent shockwaves through Dalton, Illinois. Jason House, the man who just defeated Mayor Tiffany Henyard in the Democratic primary, sat down with journalist Regina to reveal startling secrets and accusations about the mayor's leadership, secrets no one saw coming. What began as a quiet suburban village just south of Chicago has now erupted into political chaos, with accusations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and abuse of power coming to light. These revelations have ignited heated debates and raised serious questions about Dalton's future. The explosive moments from House's interview have left the community questioning everything about Henyard's tenure in office, from her questionable spending habits to the alleged deep-rooted corruption in her administration. Tensions that had been building for months have now reached a boiling point. House exposed details that many residents had suspected but never fully understood. Positioning himself as a candidate for change, House revealed not only Henyard's lavish spending, such as extravagant trips and questionable contracts, but also how her leadership fostered a culture of intimidation and control in Dalton. According to House, dissent was silenced, and those who opposed her were targeted. The interview paints a disturbing picture of a leader who allegedly used the town as her personal empire, misusing power and resources while pushing Dalton further into financial instability. What does this mean for Dalton's future? Can the town recover from years of what many are calling mismanagement, or will Henyard's time in office leave an irreparable stain on the community? While Henyard's supporters argue that she has been unfairly targeted and that her leadership has been misrepresented, her critics are growing louder, demanding accountability and real change. The Democratic primary results were a clear sign that many residents of Dalton were fed up with the status quo. House's victory is seen as a message that people want a new direction, with him now positioned as the front-runner to lead the town and bring about the much-needed change. Henyard's re-election bid has been shaken by House's revelations. The political drama in Dalton is far from over. Though House defeated Henyard in the election, his victory symbolizes a community rejecting corruption and demanding transparency. But what does this mean for Dalton moving forward? Will the town finally break free from Henyard's grip, or will this just be another chapter in its ongoing political turmoil? The explosive revelations from House's interview are forcing Dalton residents to confront uncomfortable truths about their town's future. With tensions running high, the coming months are sure to bring even more drama as the fate of Dalton's government hangs in the balance. The stakes are higher than ever, and the political landscape of this small town may never be the same again. As Henyard faces mounting pressure, questions about corruption, financial mismanagement, and leadership in Dalton have become impossible to ignore. Residents and political observers alike are left wondering whether real change is on the horizon, or if the town's political chaos will only deepen. One thing is certain: Dalton's future is now in question, and the fallout from this interview will shape its political narrative for years to come. Jason House's victory in the Democratic primary for Dalton mayor was more than just a political win. It was a resounding message that the people of Dalton were ready for change. After years of controversy and mismanagement under Mayor Tiffany Henyard, House, who had long been a vocal critic of her leadership, made it clear during his campaign that he would not tolerate corruption or the culture of intimidation that many believed had taken hold under Henyard's administration. His stance was a direct challenge to the fear and secrecy that had reportedly surrounded Dalton's government. This message resonated deeply with residents frustrated by years of financial instability and questionable leadership. The result was a stunning upset, with House defeating Henyard and signaling a demand for fresh direction in Dalton's political landscape. However, winning the primary is only the first step in a much larger challenge: governing a village in deep financial trouble, where Henyard still holds power until her term officially ends. The question now is whether House can deliver on his promises of change, transparency, and financial responsibility, or if he will face the same obstacles that plagued his predecessor. With Henyard's shadow still looming over the town, Dalton's political tensions have only escalated, setting the stage for a complex and high-stakes battle for control. This drama took a dramatic turn when House sat down for an interview with journalist Regina, revealing shocking details that sent ripples through the community. The interview quickly became an explosive tell-all, with House holding nothing back as he discussed the financial chaos surrounding Dalton. House confirmed what many had suspected for months: millions of dollars had been recklessly spent with little to no accountability, further deepening the town's financial crisis. He pointed to lavish expenses, undisclosed payments, and financial records that, according to him, painted a picture of complete mismanagement. But the financial missteps weren't the only issue at hand. House also exposed a deeply troubling culture of fear within Dalton's government. He described how employees and officials who dared to question Henyard's decisions were either pushed out, intimidated, or silenced. As the fallout from this interview continues, Dalton faces a critical turning point. Will the town embrace change and transparency under new leadership, or will the political turmoil only intensify? The next few months will determine Dalton's fate as the battle for accountability and reform unfolds. One thing remains clear: the political landscape of this small town will never be the same again. A shocking interview has sent shockwaves through Dalton, Illinois. Jason House, the man who recently defeated Mayor Tiffany Henyard in the Democratic primary, sat down with journalist Regina Waller to reveal startling secrets and accusations about the mayor's leadership. Secrets no one saw coming. What began as a quiet suburban village just south of Chicago has now erupted into political chaos, with allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and abuse of power coming to light. These revelations have ignited heated debates and raised serious questions about Dalton's future. The explosive moments from House's interview have left the community questioning everything about Henyard's tenure in office, from her questionable spending habits to the alleged deep-rooted corruption in her administration. Tensions that had been building for months have now reached a boiling point. House exposed details that many residents had suspected but never fully understood. Positioning himself as a candidate for change, House revealed not only Henyard's lavish spending, such as extravagant trips and questionable contracts, but also how her leadership fostered a culture of intimidation and control in Dalton. According to House, dissent was silenced, and those who opposed her were targeted. The interview paints a disturbing picture of a leader who allegedly used the town as her personal empire, misusing power and resources while pushing Dalton further into financial instability. House further alleged that key figures in Henyard's administration were forced to sign off on questionable financial transactions or risk losing their jobs. His statements echoed the claims of whistleblowers who had been speaking out about Henyard's authoritarian control over the village's operations. According to House, Henyard's leadership was not just about poor financial management, but about maintaining an oppressive grip on the entire political structure of the village. One of the most shocking revelations came when House hinted at potential legal consequences for Henyard. While he did not provide specific details, he suggested that investigators were already looking into some of the most troubling financial irregularities within Dalton's government. This revelation immediately sparked speculation among residents and political observers, leading many to wonder whether Henyard was on the verge of facing serious legal consequences for her actions. The interview ended, but the fallout was just beginning. Henyard, who had already faced mounting criticism for her leadership, now found herself under even greater scrutiny. With questions swirling about her future and the consequences of her administration's alleged actions, the stakes for Dalton residents had never been higher. Will Jason House be able to clean up the mess left by Henyard? The town is now at a critical juncture. House's victory was not just a win in a primary. It was a powerful symbol of the community rejecting the status quo and demanding real change. As Dalton's future hangs in the balance, all eyes are on this small town, watching as its political future unfolds. The question is no longer whether Dalton will recover, but whether it can truly escape the grip of Henyard's leadership, or if political chaos will continue to unfold in new and unpredictable ways. The stakes have never been higher, and the next chapter in Dalton's political story is sure to be filled with more drama and revelations. The political future of Dalton, Illinois, hangs in the balance. The community now waits to see whether Jason House, the man who just defeated Mayor Tiffany Henyard in the Democratic primary, can deliver on his promises of transparency, accountability, and financial reform, or if he will find himself trapped in the same struggles that plagued his predecessor, unable to restore trust and stability to the village. As Henyard's administration faces increasing scrutiny and the looming possibility of legal repercussions, the drama surrounding Dalton's governance is far from over. With residents deeply divided, the coming months will be critical. House's explosive interview with Regina Waller added fuel to an already raging fire, leaving residents with more questions than answers. His revelations about Henyard's administration had an immediate impact across the town. Social media erupted with heated debates, comments, and discussions as Dalton residents reacted to House's claims. Some felt vindicated, believing that House had confirmed what they had long suspected, that Henyard's administration had been plagued by corruption, financial recklessness, and a culture of secrecy. Others, however, were stunned by the scale of the allegations and questioned how things had spiraled so far out of control. As the story spread, residents flocked to online forums, local meetings, and public platforms to demand answers from their local government. They questioned the disappearance of funds, alleged intimidation tactics, and the possibility of legal action against Henyard. These issues were not just political. For many, they were about the future of their town. The growing discontent and demand for accountability were undeniable. Some community leaders even called for immediate audits and full investigations into the village's finances. As pressure mounted, Henyard's team responded with a statement dismissing House's claims as politically motivated. They accused him of exaggerating the situation to gain public support and insisted that Henyard's administration had always acted within the bounds of the law. Henyard herself took to social media to portray herself as a victim of a smear campaign, calling her critics jealous politicians and suggesting that outside forces were trying to bring her down. Despite her defense, many residents were not convinced. They pointed out that the FBI's involvement in investigating Dalton's finances was not just a rumor, but a hard fact. Others questioned why the village's funds had been spent on extravagant trips, high-priced contracts, and lavish spending while basic services were left to deteriorate. The stark contrast between the administration's spending habits and the community's needs left many residents feeling betrayed. As the situation escalated, it became clear that the controversy surrounding Henyard's leadership was not going away anytime soon. The growing divide within the community only further highlighted the deep mistrust that residents had in their leadership. They wanted answers. They wanted accountability and transparency. Henyard's defense, however, did little to quell the anger and frustration simmering throughout the town. While her representatives tried to downplay House's claims, the pressure continued to mount, and the calls for accountability only grew louder. As Henyard's time in office nears its end, the question of whether she will be held accountable for her actions looms large. But just as Henyard faces mounting scrutiny, House's victory in the Democratic primary and the revelations from his interview present new questions about the future of Dalton. The village stands at a critical turning point. With House preparing to take over and assume the mantle of leadership, the big question remains. Will he be able to deliver on his promises and lead Dalton toward transparency, accountability, and financial recovery? Or will he find himself caught in the same struggles as his predecessor, unable to break free from the town's deep-rooted issues? As Dalton's political drama continues to unfold, one thing is certain: the next chapter in the town's story will be one of the most important yet.